Hello, I'm Will, this is Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And in this video we'll be looking at issue 13 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine, which came with 2 paints, Mephiston Red and Wraithbone, which we'll be applying to our models in the painting guide, and then learning the rules for deployment, which we'll be using in our game for this video. But having a look through the issue first, to start with we have more of the in-universe account of the various monsters of the mortal realms, in this case the monsters of the sea, so talking about allopexes, so giant vicious sharks that live in the oceans of the mortal realms, and then the leviatons, sort of large and aggressive turtle-like creatures, and war hydras, many-headed sort of reptilian creatures that are sometimes used as war beasts by some of the elven factions. And then we have a short story entitled Spearhead, which is about a band of Stormcast Eternals Vindictors protecting a human caravan from attack by the Cruel Boys. Unfortunately, they get drawn into a cunning trap set by the Cruel Boys, and it's only the Prime's heroic actions that might save the day. And then we have some more about the Realm of Beasts, Ghur, and in fact we've got some tables we can roll on for the bit of Realm of Beasts that we're fighting over. So on this page we've got some traits that you can use for the region, so you can roll that and see the local character of the area. And over the page there's one for the actual location in the sort of central Realm of Beasts, so using this map here, there are 6 different places you could be fighting in. Now we're on to the painting guide, so we're using our 2 new paints and some others to add more detail to the Cruel Boys first of all. So we've got Mephiston Red for their scare shields and some of the cloth, and then Wraithbone for the various bits of bone and cloth, and so some other cloth and rope and things like that, and stitches on their leather clothing, also the bowstring on the killbow, and the teeth on their scare shields, and then some more lead belcher for some details we haven't yet applied that to, on things like the hobgrots. And there's a gallery of Cruel Boys there, showing them painted up to this point. And then the same with the Stormcast Eternals, so first we've got Wraithbone for the pennant on the banner and the sort of scroll work on their shields, and also the scrolls carried by the Knight Arcanum, things like that. And also the main body of the Griff Chargers pulling the chariot, so distinguishing them from the head. And it also suggests using Wraithbone for some of the faces, or Catachan flesh alternately, for darker skin tones. And it also shows some pictures of what they will look like eventually when we finish painting the faces, so you get an idea of where they're going. Then there's Mephiston Red for the helmet plumes, and a couple of other details on the Stormcast, like ropes. And there's a gallery of them there showing what they look like up to this point with those colours added. And this issue also came with a fold-out, which has got some more background on the armies of order, the forces that stand up for civilization in the mortal realms. So we've got some pictures of Stormcast Eternals in the middle there. On the left, it talks about some of the technology that some of the forces can bring to bear, like the Caradron Overlords with their skyships and firearms. It also talks about how they are guardians of civilization and defenders of the innocent in the realms. But on the right hand side there's more to the forces of order than just humanoids. There are also various monsters, both that they're used as beasts of burden or beasts of war, but also things like the Sylvaneth Tree Men, which could be quite horrifying to the average observer, but they have a deep hatred for the forces of chaos. And there are also forces that use perhaps less savoury means, such as the assassin covens of some of the elven factions. As it says, sometimes the defence of civilization requires more underhand tactics. And on the other side there's just a gallery of miniatures, so there's a large Stormcast Eternals and Cities of Sigmar force forming 2 parts of this, and on the right there's a few more factions like the Fireslayers, Lumineth Realm Lords and the Iden the Deepkin. But anyway, that's it for the contents of the issue, so I'll hand you over to Mike now, who will be looking at some new rules and then taking us into our game.
So we do have some new rules to learn today, but we can learn them as part of our battle introduction. So for our today's game Battlelines, as it says, we will be learning how to deploy our units. So both sides are drawing up their forces for a major conflict. We've got the Lord-Imperatant and Griffhands, the Knight Arcanum, the Stormstrike Chariot and the Vindictors for the Stormcast, and they're up against the Killaboss with Stabgrot, the Swampcollar Shaman and Potgrot, the Gut Rippers and the Beast Skewer Killbow. And you can see we're actually making use of these circles as deployment zones. So the Cruel Boys have the 4 circles along one long edge, while the Stormcast have the 4 circles over the opposite long edge. And I'll explain how all that works in a bit, but otherwise the game will last for 5 battle rounds. And if all of one side is wiped out, the other side win, otherwise it's a draw. So we have a war scroll for the Vindictors here. It's the same as we've had until this point, but just to note that they're Bravery 7, and it tells you where to find all the other war scrolls. And down here it gives you a little bit about what to think about when forming your battle line, how to deploy your units. And here we have the process of deployment itself. So what we'll do is we'll roll off, and the player who wins will deploy a unit first. And all you do is you put one of your units in one of your unoccupied circles, and then we take it in turns. So in this example, the Stormcast won the roll-off and deployed the chariot first. So the Crawlboys have deployed the Beastkewer Killbow in a good position to shoot at it, and the Knight Arcanum has deployed to counter the Killbow, and the Gut Rippers have deployed so that they can be in a defensive position around it, and so on until both sides have finished deploying their 4 units each. And the Crawlboys will be taking the first turn, but otherwise the turn sequences for both sides are the same as we've had up to this point. So if you want to, you can pause and have a closer look, but we'll get the board set up and get straight into it otherwise. So since it's been introduced, we'll show off the deployment step, but we'll probably skip this in later videos just because it's not terribly interesting. So we're rolling off. Well, I won the roll-off, so I'm going to be deploying a unit first. Well, for my first unit choice, I'm taking Golmrog the Great and Stugit and putting them at the back of this middle left circle, so they're roughly in the middle of the board, so they can hit a good range Arcane Bolt, but not too close so they can get charged very quickly.
And then for my pick, I've deployed the Vindictors opposite Golmrog the Great, so that they can get to wherever they need to be because they're quite slow.
Well, I've gone for the Gut Rippers, Murk-Eye's Storm Chasers next, and they're opposite they're to the right of the Swampcaller Shaman, basically for the same reason as the Vindictors are there. They're a bit slow, so I'm going to put them roughly in the middle so they can go wherever they need to be.
And I've responded by placing Syrah Demonbane, and I've responded by placing Borea Starfang, the Knight Arcanum, in the other central circle, so that she's in range to cast Mystic Shield on everything else, basically. She can reach all the other circles from here.
Well, and I've put the Dragon Breaker, the Beastkiller Killbow, in the bottom right circle, so it has good field of view and fire. Should be able to shoot pretty much everything from where it is. And the Gut Rippers are in range to get in the way.
And I've put the Stormstrike Chariot, the Cleansing Light, over in the top right corner as you see it, towards the back of the circle, so it's a slightly longer charge for the Gut Rippers because it's got a huge move, so it can get to wherever it needs to be.
And there's only one space left for each of our units, so I've got Morleck the Killaboss with Kneebiter, opposite Helio Hammerfist, the Lord-Imperatant, and Dauntless the Griffhound. So the Crawlboys get to go first. So we're in to Crawlboys turn 1. So no spell casting because I foolishly deployed the Swampcaller Shaman too far away. If I'd deployed him at the front of the circle, he would be in range to cast Arcane Bolt. So entirely my mistake. So the Gut Rippers have moved up towards the Stormstrike Chariot. Golmrog's moving to get behind them. Dragonbreaker is going to stay where it is, and Morleck and Kneebiter are going to move up into the middle. Going to be very brave and maybe charge those Vindictors. In the shooting phase, the Beastskewer Killbow is going to shoot at the Chariot. One shot hitting on a 2. Oh, 1 hit missed. In the charge phase, both Morleck and the Gut Rippers are going to declare charges this turn. So roll for Morleck, who gets a 10, that's going to be able to get him somewhere. And the Gut Rippers get a 7. So 7's not enough to get the Gut Rippers into the Chariot, but 10 is enough to get Morleck into the Vindictors, so he will. Also staying away from the 2 Stormcast heroes, and he'll get to fight first. He's got 4 attacks with his Boss Hacker, looking for 3s. He gets 1. Wounding on 3s. He does.
4+ save. Nope, so he does kill a Vindictor.
And then Kneebiter hits on 4s, getting 1. And wounds with a 6.
3+, yes. And then hitting back, we can all get in range, so we've got 9 attacks hitting on 3s, because the Prime does get an extra attack. 8 hits, 2 of which are mortal wounds.
Yep.
And then wounding on 3s. 4.
4+ saves. Oh, I made them all.
So just a mortal.
Just 2 mortal wounds. Well, and that's it. Well, technically the Vindictors do have to make a Battleshock test, but they only lost 1, and they're bravery 7, so they can't possibly fail, so we won't bother rolling it. But that's it for the Crawlboys' turn. On to the Stormcast's turn.
So we'll start by trying to cast Mystic Shield, needing a 5. Nope, failed. And then for my movement, the Vindictors are going to stay in melee. Helio Hammerfist has come up around the back of Killaboss. Chariot's actually going to come across the middle, because I think if I send it off after the Killbow, it'll get trapped in the corner and stabbed to death by Gut Rippers, and the Knight Arcanum is just following it. So we'll be on to the shooting phase, where we'll start with the Chariot. It's going to shoot at the Shaman, I think. 2 shots on 3s. We've got 1 hit, and wounds on 3. Yes.
6+ save. No. There's a wound on Golmrog, down to 5.
And then we'll do Helio Hammerfist's Baton against the Shaman as well. D6 shots, 6. Hitting on 3s, only getting 3, and wounding on 3s. Oh, 3 wounds.
6+ save again. No, down to 2.
So we're on to the charge phase. We'll start with the Stormstrike Chariot, and we roll a 9. So it's going to go after Golden the Great. We're going to ignore the Gut Rippers for now, and then I'm just going to charge with the Lord-Imperatant. He rolls, that's enough, and we'll roll the Knight Arcanum as well. Yes, she also is in. So they're just going to pile into Morleck like that. But we'll start with the... I think we'll start with the Vindictors, actually. 9 attacks hitting on 3s, 6s do a mortal wound. We've got a mortal wound, and 7 and 6 hits. 6 hits wounding on 3s, 4.
4 plus saves again. Failed 2, so he's down to 1 wound. And I think he'll have his hitbacks on the Knight Arcanum, I think. So 4 attacks on 3s, they all hit. Wounded on 3s, 2 wounds.
4s, okay, that's 2 damage.
And the Biter gets a hit. And wounds.
3, yes. So I'll do the Chariot next, see if we can kill the Shaman. So 3 attacks from the axe on 3s, 2 hits on 3s, 2.
6s, no, he's dead.
So that kills off the Shaman, so we just got my 2 heroes left. So Lord-Imperatant hits all 4 times, and wounds on 3s, 3 wounds.
4 plus saves, yeah, goodbye Morleck. Oh well, that's it, that battle round. On to Cruel Boy's turn 2. Only movement is the Gut Rippers getting 3 inches away from the Chariot, and then the Beast Killer, the Beast Skewer Killbow is going to try and shoot at it again. You know what? It's going to shoot at the Knight Arcanum instead, see if it can pick her off. And it hits on a 2. It does this time. It wounds on a 3. It wounded. Good lord, -2.
So a 5. No.
4 damage.
She did.
It did something. In the charge phase, the Gut Rippers will charge the Chariot. 9 is enough. So they'll charge in like that. Definitely get them all in. 21 attacks from all the Gut Rippers. 4s hit, 6s do mortal wounds instead. 2 mortal wounds and 7 regular hits that wound on 4s. 1.
With a 3 plus save. Oh, I failed, so it's down to 9. Then we'll hit back, so we've got the axe on 3s. 2 hits. Wounding on 3s, 1.
6 plus armour, nope.
And the Griffhounds on 3s. Getting 4 hits out of 6, and winning on 3s with 4 wounds -2, so isn't it?
Yeah, so it's 5 damage in total. Well, then at the end of that turn, the Storm Chasers have to take a battle shock test. They're Bravery 5, so adding 2 to this. It's a 5, so 2 more run away. Right, and then we're on to Stormcast turn 2.
So the Chariot will stay in melee, and the other 2 units have moved up to be 3 inches away from the Gut Rippers. So in the shooting phase, we will shoot the Chariot at the Gut Rippers, obviously. On 3s, 1 and a 3, that's a wound.
6 plus armour, nope.
We'll do the Stormcaller baton on them as well. D6 shots, 3. 3s, 3s, 2 wounds.
6 side plus again, still no. 1 dead, 1 on a wound.
Then both units will charge. Do the Lord-Imperatant first, he's in with a 6, and the Vindictors are in with a 7. So we're in like that, and then we'll open the fighting with the Chariot, I think. So axe hits 3 times and wounds 3 times.
6s. Oh, I made 1. 2 damage so far.
And Griffhounds hit 4 times and wound 3 times with no save.
So that's 5 damage. 2.5 dead. 2 Gut Rippers left. They'll go after the Vindictors, see if they might drop one. 5 attacks on 4s, 6s do mortal wounds. Well, they all hit with 2 mortal wounds. 3 regular hits that wound on 4s, getting 1.
3 plus save, yes. So 2 wounds does kill 1. Then we'll do the Lord-Imperatant. 4 attacks on 3s, they 3 hits and winning on 3s, 3 wounds.
Need to go roll? No, they're all gone. And with all the Gut Rippers gone, it's down to the Beast Killbow to shoot all the Stormcast. As we head into Cruel Boy's turn 3. We're going to shoot at the Vindictors this turn. Oh, just a hit. Wounds on a 3? No. And I'm not going to charge it, so on to Stormcast turn 3.
Well, there's no subtleties, everybody's going to move towards it. In the shooting phase, they'll shoot it as well, obviously. So start with the baton, it gets 3 shots, and actually I can combine those with the bow because it's all the same rolls to hit. So it's 5 shots in total from both of them, only hit twice, and wound on 3s, 2.
6 plus armour. Oh, I made 1. It's down to 4 wounds.
And then obviously all the charging. So, Lord-Imperatant's got a slightly longer charge. Well, he's in though. Chariot, bare minimum is in, so 3 inches away, and the Vindictors are in. So the Vindictors and the Lord-Imperatant are in, but the Chariot has actually got too large a base. It cannot get within half an inch on that side of the board because it will fall off the edge of the board. If it rolled a larger number, it could have gone round, but never mind. We'll just do the Lord-Imperatant. He only hit twice. Wounds on 3s. Well, he did.
6+ armour. Oh, it lives on 2 wounds.
Yep. 4 attacks from Dauntless on 3s. Well, they all hit. I assume 6s don't do it, and winning on 4s. Oh, 2. No rend.
Oh, 5+ armour. No, he's dead. Well, with all the Crawl Boys dead, that'll be a Stormcast victory. So we'll recap that game for you now. Well, that was a game for issue 13 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. How did you think that went?
Well, pretty well, obviously, but I don't think you rolled very well, and you were unlucky at a couple of points, even going first. And also, this was the same forces as the previous mission, where we established that the Stormcast were better, except that I had the Vindictors as well, and you lost the Hoggrots. So it was kind of not really that balanced.
I mean, granted, the Hoggrots didn't do anything in the previous game, but I didn't expect them to do very much in this game. I did make a deployment error by deploying the Shaman too far back, but I did roll after the game to see what could have happened, and he rolled a 3 on his spellcasting test, so never mind, he didn't achieve anything anyway. And it kind of relies on the Beast Skewer Killbow doing things as well. I killed the Night Owl Cannon with it. The thing is actually the first time it's actually hit and done any damage with its ranged attack. So it finally did something, didn't do anything for the other two times I shot it, and Morleck didn't do very much either. So I do think I did roll badly, but you've beaten a larger orc army with less. So it's not too surprising, really, even though I get the possible advantage of going first.
Yeah, and I think the Chariot proved once again that it's quite good. Being able to move wherever it's needed to go, having a lot of attacks on the charge, and then having so many wounds, it can soak up a lot of damage as well.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been very cruel boy to just hide the Beast Skewer Killbow in the corner to prevent you from getting as many models on it as possible, but I think the writing was already on the wall at that point. And we saw the Chariot's big base got in the way.
Yeah, that was a slight disadvantage, but I could also have realised that was going to happen and charged better. So
yeah, unfortunately, I don't think the game really demonstrates much. And we did learn the rules for deployment, and I suppose it did show off that it is worth thinking about your deployment, making sure everything's in the right place, or you do what I did and end up out of range.
Yeah, it does go to show that, well, for example, the Chariot is deployed on the flank, but because it's got a really fast move, it was able to reposition and come into the centre of the table very easily, whereas something like the Vindictors are a little bit more stuck on the side of the board you put them on, which is why I put them in the middle.
You can see our thought process for deploying units and that. On a board this small, it probably doesn't matter too much about slow units where you deploy them. I think it's going to be a much bigger factor on larger boards. You can imagine if you had 4 of this battle map laid out, that's a pretty big decision where you'd put your slow units.
Yeah.
We got some new paints for this issue, but mostly just fitting out more of the base colours, particularly on the Cruel Boys. They're pretty much entirely base coated by now. Do remember to shake them up. I think when I got my issue, the Wraithbone, I believe it is, was split, but just give it a good shake and that'll get it back to normal.
Yeah, usually the paints are reasonably easy to resurrect unless they really dried out or anything, which is not usually the case when you get them new. So it tends to be the pale paints that separate the pigments as well.
Yeah, plus some of the metallic ones as well.
Yeah.
Well, otherwise, not too much to say about this game or this issue. So if you do like this content, do leave a like and subscribe. And leave any comments, tell us how you're getting on with your Stormbringer collections. Not entirely sure where Stormbringer's out, or whether it's planned to be released in America or anything like that. So if you know anything about that, it'd be nice to know if you do know. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.